Hey y'all, it's Alex and welcome back to my channel. Today I have something for you guys that I'm pretty sure other people have made videos for, and they're the Dr. P.H. Martin Bombay India inks. I got this set for Christmas and I was really excited to test them out. I tried filming a what I got for Christmas haul video, but when I was editing it, it seemed kind of boring. So instead I turned it into a one color challenge. And technically also a 3-color challenge, but we'll get to that later. But going through the swatches for these, there's a couple in here that I have to question why they put both of these in the same palette. Because like the cherry red, which is the second down there, and the red violet look really similar to me. And I was live recording, so ignore my vigorous hand gesturing. But I don't know if it's just mine in particular, but the texture of the browns in this are a little iffy. The sepia/sepia, however you want to pronounce that, is fine, but the terracotta color is really viscous, and it like dries differently than the rest of them. And then the Van Dyke brown is almost too watery, like there's too much water in comparison to how much pigment there is inside of it. Another issue I have with this is why go with that aqua teal color and then the turquoise blue when you could have like maybe an olive green in here. Like make this an entirely autumn colored palette instead of having like these weird 2 blue shades in here. But that's just me. I can understand you'd want to have a palette that has at least primary colors in it. Those 2 browns at the bottom are actually both Van Dyke brown. They just suspended very differently. So I have a lot of problems with the browns in this set. So as soon as I was done swatching them, I decided I wanted to draw a character for a 1-color challenge. And my first idea was, oh, I'm going to do a girl and she's floating inside a bubble, but I realized I'd just done another piece with something like that, so instead I went for this kind of Legend of Zelda fighter kind of thing, and the 4-armed thing just kind of jumped out at me at random because I couldn't decide what kind of pose to have her in, so I decided, let's have both. So the elf character and the little goblin hanging off of her arm, I decided the elf's name was Dwinder, and then her goblin companion, his name is Crip. Now, this was originally going to be a 1-color challenge for this image, but I liked her too much at the end. I run into this problem a lot when it comes to the color challenges, which I did that with literally the last video too, but this one unfortunately ran into a little bit of a tragedy. It wasn't in any part of the creation of this, it was in me getting this one ported off of my phone. I film on my iPhone 6S? One of those. But I have a problem that I experience a lot where if my file is, like, if I film for longer than an hour and a half at a time, I'm unable to port the file off of my iPhone and onto my computer. In trying to cut down the image size, like to trim it, I ended up losing pretty much all of the progress on this piece, except for this. I got this part. The part where I just used sepia to make the background. But of course the part where I used tangerine and golden yellow to actually make the official piece of course I had to lose that part. The one problem I ran into is that the sepia had this really bad shine to it when I laid it on really thick, like especially when sunlight is directly hitting it. So it's really hard to read what color is actually there. But otherwise, I loved this piece. So I've made another piece, and you'll get 2 for 1 in this episode. And I decided the next one was going to actually be a 1-color challenge. Because I need to stop chickening out of 1-color challenges. I do it far too often. And it's really something I enjoy, limiting my color choices, because otherwise I end up picking the exact same 5 colors for literally everything. Like, in 2018, there was a month where I made 10 pieces, 7 of them had the Copic R89. I just stick with 1 color and then run it out into oblivion. This character, I wanted to kind of be in the same universe as the 2 that I made before, but whereas they're fighters, this person is someone who's living inside of a village. I kind of rolled with the idea that she's a blacksmith. Something I also toyed around between these 2 pieces, I used different thicknesses of liners. For the first one, I used the 05 Sakura Pigma Micron. I think that's the full name. I don't have them right next to me, so I can't get their full name. But for this one, I used a 02, because I wanted to see how the line weights change the feeling of the piece. I want you guys to tell me in the comments below, do you prefer the thicker lines of the other piece, because that one you actually do get to see the line art of, or do you like the thinner lines of this one? So the color I picked out of the Bag of Devouring was cherry red, and I just decided to kind of go right in with it, I guess. I wanted to make sure that she stuck out from the background. The background I wanted to be just a wash of, like, kind of the Looney Tunes circles that lead into the that's all kind of ending card. I don't think it worked particularly well for this. I wish I would have done like an actual background for her. It would have been hard to create depth because it's just 1 color, but I still think it would have been better than the weird target that is behind her now, because I think she blends in with it just a little bit too much. It just feels so cluttered having everything be so dark. Dark colors are my default. I have always been a fan of dark colors. Something I want to get into more as this year progresses is pushing my values, and I definitely want to play around with doing more pastel pieces and so on and so forth. But because of the color, I decided to name her Rasp after raspberries, because this is a very raspberry-esque color to me. Though I guess you could also say it feels very pomegranate at the same time. At the moment, it reminded me a lot of raspberries. So I know that at the beginning of this video, I was kind of like, the colors in this are weird, I'm having trouble with the browns. Overall, I did like these inks. In my opinion, Inks in general kind of trump watercolors, just because I don't have to worry about rewetting any of the pigments. I can just lay down shadow after shadow. It does mean that, of course, your marks are permanent. If you do end up making a mistake, you're just gonna have to suck it up and live with it, but I kind of enjoy the mistakes that come out of screwing up on a piece. Like, you figure out ways to work around it. I mean, either that or you just dump the piece and just move on, but you know, I'm definitely going to continue using these inks. I'm not gonna let the odd texture of the terracotta and the Van Dyke brown stop me. I'm gonna see if I can do anything to make them not as weird. Putting the little glass beads inside of them has already helped a bunch. It helps kick up the pigments, but moving in, like, in the future, I'm going to be a lot more experimental with those inks in particular. The rest of them, like the yellow ochre and the turquoise, I'm very excited to be able to make some pieces, especially since in my Illo sketchbook, the paper handles it really well. So I'll be able to make full pieces on both sides without making like a lot of staining marks for the other side, or having it warp as much as it usually does with my watercolors. Also, would you guys consider both of these a 1 hue challenge / 3 hue challenge, or 1 color? Because it is using 1 ink, but you get a whole myriad of hues out of it. To be honest, I only thought of this as I was going back through editing, so at least to pass me, it is a 1 color challenge. Still debating here with current me. Future me will have to come back and tell you guys later. So I hope you enjoyed the creation of Rasp, and I'm really sorry that that you guys didn't get to see the coloring of Dwindare and Crip, but I'm glad that I was still able to show it to you guys regardless. Like, it's better than me absolutely screwing up the creation of the piece. I'm glad that it was just the recording mishap. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you feel so inclined, hit that subscribe button and the bell icon, or check me out on my other social media handles. Thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one.